Hello all, this is Lisa Tiroff, your instructor for NUR 420. I wanted to just kind of go over the rubric for the leadership paper part 1 that is due on Sunday. Hopefully you are finishing it up and getting it ready to submit by Sunday night. But I wanted to go through a few things to hopefully clear up any questions anybody has. But if you do have questions, please feel free to contact me. As you can see on the screen, this is the document that is in week 4 that talks about the required elements for the leadership paper for part 1. Part 1 talks about organizational analysis. So you're going to look at your organization and you're going to answer or discuss the elements in this rubric. So briefly, I'll just go through this with you. So there's 10 things here in this document, everything from integration of vision and mission, corporate culture, structural design, decision-making, communication, financial, information management, responsiveness of leadership, and you observing effective leadership. And if you've observed ineffective leadership, you can absolutely write about that as well and give examples, and then discuss future challenges and opportunities for the organization you currently work for. So this is your organization that you currently work for, whether it's a hospital, nursing home, clinic, whatever. This is about your organization. The key thing to remember is when you're addressing all these elements, it is important to have the information from your organization. However, you also need supporting literature. So you need to go out and you need to find studies or information from nursing journals that talk about these elements. If you also remember, in week 1, you read chapter 4. And if you look in chapter 4, there is a lot of these elements discussed in that chapter. So that will be a very helpful chapter for you. So again, when you're talking about the mission and vision of your organization, absolutely state it, but then you need to tell me what is a mission and a vision. When I grade these papers, I grade these papers based on the fact that I don't have any idea about what you're talking about. You are the expert in this information, so that's how I grade papers. So that's what this is about here in the required elements. On the second page talks about kind of just the different things the rubric's going to cover. I strongly encourage you to go over APA format, have your APA 6th edition book beside you as you're writing your paper. Make sure that you go over and proofread your paper. One very important and very helpful thing to do is to read your paper aloud. When you read it aloud, you will find those missing words and you will find those misspellings, and you will find where you didn't use correct APA, and you can correct those. Make sure that there are headings in your paper. And if you look in your APA book on page 62, it talks about level 1, 2, 3, 4 headings. Most of this paper will most likely be level 1 headings. So when you're talking about the mission and vision, that can be your heading, mission and vision. You should have an introduction and a conclusion. And again, you don't have to put introduction as a heading. You can just write your introductory paragraph. Your introduction should just basically lay the kind of a map or a foundation for what you're going to be talking about in your paper. And then your conclusion should wrap everything back up and kind of make it all come full circle. The other thing to remember is professional voice. So in this particular paper, you need to write in third person. So you don't write using I or we. You say, you could say the organization, you could say one could understand, just whatever that verbiage is, it just cannot be I, we, you. That makes it first person, and I want it in third person. The content basically is, looking and making sure that you have met and discussed all those required elements from the first page, and that you're clearly discussing it and it's flowing logically. Headings will help your paper flow, so it is incredibly important that you have headings. If you don't have headings in your paper, I will send it back to you. and you will need to fix it. And I will give you a deadline for fixing it. I will give you a second chance. Because it is incredibly difficult to grade a paper without headings, because I have no idea which way you're going and what you're discussing. So headings really, 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 and I can't stress that enough, really help make your paper flow. The other thing to remember is that there are certain criteria, assignment-specific criteria for this paper. It should be no more than 8 pages in length. However, if you go over 1 or 2 pages, I'm not going to get upset unless it's a lot of just words and not content. This does not include a title page or a reference page. You need to make sure that whatever references you have on your reference list, you have citations that go with them. Please look in the APA book and make sure you are writing them correctly. If the author of your reference is Smith and Jones, then the citation needs to be Smith and Jones. So you have to make sure that you have this information in there. Try not to directly quote too much out of sources. It's better to paraphrase. However, you have to give credit to the source because obviously the information is not yours. So you need to be making sure that you are crediting sources. If you're writing about a specific thing like the mission and vision and you just have kind of one source and you paraphrase information out of it, every 2 or 3 sentences, put a citation. Do not put the information and then put one citation at the end of the paragraph. That assumes, the assumption is then that the whole paper or that whole paragraph is from that source, but that cannot be assumed. So please make sure that you look in your APA book about how to write out the references and the citations. It is very important, and it is bolded here under the assignment-specific criteria, that you have 5 professional references in addition to the Finkelman textbook. And as you can see below, highlighted, it explains what professional references are. These are academic quality professional journals or textbooks. You can definitely use personal interviews from your agency. You can definitely use the agency's website. You can definitely use other websites. However, these are not going to count as professional academic quality references. So you need to make sure that you have professional quality references. This paper is worth 20 points. It is, a pretty good idea that you look this rubric over, that you make sure you're addressing all of the required elements. And if at any point in time you have questions, please email me, text me. If you text me, tell me who you are, or you can certainly give me a call on my cell phone. Thank you.